Today we're going to show you two different ways to remove a rounded out hex fastener with our Gripedge RPT Socket Extractor and our broken bolt G-force extractor. So on this old industrial pump, when we use a standard hex tool, all it's doing is just rounding it out, no engagement. In this circumstance, we can use our external and internal, so I'll show you different strategies to use both of these tools. So first we're going to start with the RPT Socket Extractor. What you do is line the extractor up over the fastener you're removing. You want to just be a little bit bigger, just slightly. So now we're going to hammer this on. Now that we've hammered the extractor on, you can take a breaker bar or a ratchet, put it over it, and it's a straight cut non-tapered design, so it has a lot of torque. So once we crack it loose, now we can grab our ratchet and loosen it up. And yeah, those threads were really rusted on there. So there's a lot of torque to break this loose. You can see all that rust falling out. So there's the RPT socket extractor with the hex fastener removed. Now to get this hex fastener out of here, if you need to reuse it, or you could use pliers in the socket. So we're gonna actually tighten this back down to show the bi-directional capability here. So we're tightening this down. So we're tightening it down, and you can get the true torque of this bolt. So once we have that extractor retightened down, you can take our foreign object removal rod, thread that into the back of the RPT socket extractor. Once we get this threaded down, grab a socket, put it over the back, and you can just grab a ratchet. Tighten that rod down and it'll push the extractor right off of that fastener. And you can see the straight cut grooves it cuts into that fastener. And here's the internal design.
Now we're going to be going over the second method to remove this rounded out hex fastener with our G-force broken bolt extractor kit. It comes in sizes 1 through 7 and it includes left-handed drill bits. You can scan the QR code on the box for a demonstration on how to use this kit. But we're going to be starting with the size 7 extractor here, and we're using our reverse drill bits. This will give us the perfect size hole to hammer this extractor in. Once we drill it out, we're going to hammer in our G-force broken bolt extractor kit. Make sure you're wearing your safety glasses. So our extractor is a straight cut non-tapered design. Compared to a tapered extractor, you're only going to get engagement on the top leading edge. With our non-tapered extractor, you're going to get engagement top to bottom. You're also going to get bi-directional control. You're going to be able to tighten and loosen this fastener. And we also have a removal sleeve on here. We can actually use that removal sleeve, tighten it down lightly to the fastener, and it will provide stability. So we have a hex design on the back of this extractor, so you can put a socket over it. For a size 7, use a 17mm socket, and then we're using a 3/8 ratchet, and we can loosen this fastener up. Let's say it was seized in there, you could use the bi-directional capability to tighten and loosen to break that corrosion free. So now we can get this fastener all the way out of here, and once we do that, we have that removal sleeve here. So make sure to grab some pliers or a wrench, and then you can tighten it all the way down, and it'll push the fastener right off of this G-force extractor. That was the first option of using our broken bolt extractor kit on a socket cap screw, but let's say the head snapped off or you're dealing with a bolt that snapped off. Now we're going to go into the threads. You want to line your extractor up. You want it to be just a little bit smaller than the threads. So in this case scenario, we're going to be using the size 4. To retighten this fastener back down, we're going to reuse the size 7, get it down to flush, and then we're going to hammer it back in so we can get proper engagement and torque it down so we can get a true test for the size 4. This also showcases you can reuse a fastener if you do not have a direct replacement available. So once we get this retightened back down, then you can use pliers once you get it all the way down, push that extractor right off of there like we did when we were doing it with the socket. And now we're going to start drilling out with our size 4 drill bit. Once we get this drilled out, now we can hammer in this extractor. You want to make sure you try to get this as centered as possible. After drilling out the hole with our size 4 drill bit, now you can hammer the extractor in place. When you're drilling into the threads, you want to drill as deep as you can because you want as much engagement with the extractor design into that fastener so you can apply as much torque as possible. This is going to give you that bi-directional control to tighten and loosen to break that fastener free. Once we get this fully out here, you can use that same socket you're using to loosen it up, grab some pliers, and get the fastener right off the extractor with our removal sleeve. So that is 2 different options to remove rounded out hex fasteners. You can use our RPT socket extractor, or you can use our G-force either into the hex head, or you can go into the threads if it's snapped off flush.